One of the things that you'll find here is more than others is the violence of the city. Although you can find that in some literary treatments of Yuzovka, the violence of the government, the Cossack rule of the place, and the police rule, keeping people in line, and interethnic tensions. There are any number of pogroms against the Jews of Yuzovka from almost its beginnings, including during a cholera plague, cholera epidemic that broke out. The usual accusation that are poisoning the wells, and it caused a tremendous pogrom in which half the Jewish quarter of the city was burned down, and things. That was 1892. That was the great cholera epidemic of 1892. There's an article in Slavic Review that I wrote about the cholera as a separate subject there. But in many cases, there were any disorder in the city or any tension, if there was a strike, it could very easily turn into an anti-Jewish pogrom. There were a number of them. There is a problem in this because they were never recorded anti-Jewish pogroms in the printed documents. But you find things where a mob attacking the pharmacy, but when the pharmacist comes out with an icon and shows that he's a Russian Orthodox, then the crowd becomes quiet and respectful, and they move on. There's the first strike or demonstration that I have found record was, I think, in 1872, when there were very few people in Yuzovka yet, but it included an attack on the Jews there, and they went in 1905. You had the same thing, and in the Civil War, that almost goes without saying, because the Civil War, both from the white side and the red side, there were numerous pogroms, but there were 4 or 5 cases that I've got mentioned in here. Well, those are the people who were there. It was the Russians who had the contact with the Jews and who had the friction with them. The Ukrainians were outside of it all because they were not in the city. Although there are some occasions where when there was pillaging, peasants would hear of it and come into the settlement to see if they could grab something. So, but that was minor. It wasn't the beginnings. It wasn't the instigation of the pogrom. It was only as a sort of a side effect.